What's your childhood mystery that you finally solved years later? I figured out my dad wasn't on a business trip in 2005, he was at my uncle's wedding and didn't want to take me all the way there because it was in Ireland and he knew I'd want to go if he told me. In hindsight, I probably should have picked up on the lie. My dad is a school custodian. I solved a family mystery for my mom. I wasn't allowed to play console video games during the week all the way until I was 18, but some nights I'd really be craving it, so I would noiselessly creep through my house into my basement where I could play video games in peace. But once every 30 times or so one of my parents would need something from the basement and I'd quickly turn off the TV monitor, hide in the guest room, and pray they didn't turn on a light or notice this box was on. One night I ducked into the guest room and hid behind the bed. To my horror my mom followed me into the room and turned on the lights. I was panicking, so when she started digging through the closet with her back to me I made a run for it. I nearly brushed her shirt and if she'd seen me I'd probably have given her a heart attack. But I made it and kept going all the way to bed. About 5 years went by and my mom said something like, "You're such a quiet walker," and I told her it was because of my basement trips, thinking I had nothing to lose. My mom's face went kinda solemn, and when I explained she said so there really was someone down there. And she explained that she remembered that exact night and the feeling that there was a ghost in the room. Over the next couple days she'd stare into space and just say, "I can't believe you were really there." She seemed to get over it, but she probably checks empty rooms closer now. When I was 10 my godfather gave me $20 as a Christmas gift. At the end of the dinner the money had disappeared. For years my parents blamed me for being irresponsible with my money. Years later we figured out, after she was caught stealing stuff from my aunt's house, that my cousin's fiancé at the time is a kleptomaniac. Turns out she was the one that stole the money. One evening when camping, my brother caught a fish that we decided to keep alive in the cooler for some reason. Well, the next morning we ran out to see the fish and it had grown like 5 inches. We were so excited and didn't know how the fish grew that much overnight. Last year we brought it up and my dad said that he had got up that morning and seen the fish being taken by a raccoon and that he spent the next hour or so frantically fishing for another one. He said he caught the new fish, the first one he was able to catch, just a few minutes before we got up. I had never questioned that the fish growing that much as I grew up, but after hearing what really happened I did feel like we probably should have wondered about that more. I have a similar story. When we were young we got a pair of kittens, a black one, mine, and a gray one, my brother's. They got some vaccines and some day later we wake up the gray kitten had grown. Wow, cool. Why didn't my black kitten grow too? Strange, but whatever. Stopped questioning it. Turns out, gray kitten randomly passed away one night. So my mom sent my dad out to get a new gray kitten so us kids wouldn't be sad. All he could find was a slightly older and bigger gray kitten. So they told us one of his shots helped him grow. Believed that until late high school when my mom came clean. I've always wanted to know what was behind the ATMs at a bank, how it worked, and where did the money come from. I grew up and worked at a bank just to find out some fat dude had to squeeze behind the ATMs to refill it. Me. Who ate all the cherries in the cherry cake. I was blamed for this for years after someone picked out all of the cherries and ate them during a family Christmas party. 8 years later my little sister confessed to me that it had been her. When I was a kid in the 70s my parents worked in Canada's Arctic but were from Nova Scotia. I had a pet mouse, Pixie. Pixie died the night before our family flew home to Nova Scotia for summer vacation. It was many years later before I realized that probably wasn't a sad coincidence. For what it's worth it might still have been an accident. Mice are very prone to respiratory illnesses. A friend of mine lost her 2 pet mice because while she was preparing to move her sister had come over to help her clean her old apartment and used a strong chemical to clean the sink about a foot from her cage. She was fine near the spray and didn't realize they couldn't breathe until it was too late. I have these pale white flecks in the center of my front teeth, adult set. Everybody I meet, upon seeing my smile for the first time up close, remark on it. I found out about 2 years ago that it's caused by consuming above a certain amount of fluoride before your adult teeth set in. It's called dental fluorosis. As a kid, I used to swallow toothpaste rather than spit it out, plus our water is fluoridated, so I suppose that's how I got to consuming that much fluoride. I have this as well, a lot of my childhood friends do. The local water has way too much fluoride in it. It can also be caused by high fever as a child. When I was a toddler I had an ear infection that caused a fever of 104, so I have some nice white spots on my teeth from that as well. I remember there was a time where I had to start asking to go play in the backyard when I was about 6 to 7, maybe 8, with my siblings, so she could supervise us. We never had to do this previously, so my siblings and I were very confused, and anytime we didn't ask she got us in big trouble. Turns out the neighbors were harboring a known pedophile in their house, and that's why mom got so upset with us going outside without asking. I met my wife in college, and when we were dating she often mentioned that when she was a kid, she had a play doctor's kit that was stolen from her house. She had some surgeries really young, and so her parents bought it for her to demystify the doctor's office. She'd use it all the time on her dad, poking and prodding him. One day I asked her about the robbery. Did they take everything? Jewelry? The TV? Other valuables? No, and no. It hit me. I asked, so, someone broke into your house and only stole your doctor's kit, leaving anything worth fencing there? Yeah, why? Did you ever consider your folks were tired of you using the kit on them all the time after you got better? Oh, damn. We confirmed it with her dad later, but for 15 years she had believed some thief broke in and only stole her beloved doctor's kit. I was watching Star Trek TNG with my dad when someone told Riker to wash his back. When I asked my father why someone would say that to another person, he said so you can smell someone coming up behind you. It wasn't until years later that I understood how easy it was to hear watch as wash and how committed my dad was to willfully deceiving his children for personal satisfaction. When I was really young, me and my siblings would play in my grandparents' yard. My grandfather would tell us to stay away from the skunk hole at the edge of the yard. We lived in South Texas, so this wasn't something out of the ordinary, and we just avoided it like any other animal home. Years later it dawned on me. It was actually the septic tank access.